Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our Sunday reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. And as we always do, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskachade Shatarane, and to each other Vanchakalpadurvishta Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patita Nam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnavi Bhyo Namo Namaha. We'd like to welcome everyone online and note the subtitles in English at the bottom of your page. And this week we start with chapter 65, Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan. Lord Balaram became very anxious to see his father and mother in Vrindavan. Therefore, with great enthusiasm, he started on a chariot for Vrindavan. The inhabitants of Vrindavan had been anxious to see Krishna and Balaram for a very long time. When Lord Balaram returned to Vrindavan, all the cowherd boys and the gopis had grown up, but still on his arrival, they all embraced him, and Balaram embraced them in reciprocation. After this, he came before Maharaj Nanda and Yashoda and offered his respectful obeisances. In response, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj offered their blessings unto him. They addressed him as Jagadishwara, or the Lord of the universe, who maintains everyone. The reason for this was that Krishna and Balaram maintain all living entities, and yet Nanda and Yashoda were put into such difficulties on account of their absence. Feeling like this, they embraced Balaram and, seating him on their laps, began their perpetual crying, wetting Balaram with their tears. Lord Balaram then offered his respectful obeisances to the elderly cowherd men and accepted the obeisances of the younger cowherd men. Thus, according to their different ages and relationships, Lord Balaram exchanged feelings of friendship with them. He shook hands with those who were his equals in age and friendship, and with loud laughing embraced each one of them.
After being received by the cowherd men and boys, the gopis and the king Nanda and Yashoda, Lord Balaram sat down, feeling satisfied, and they all surrounded him. First, Lord Balaram inquired from them about their welfare, and then, since they had not seen him for such a long time, they began they began to ask him different questions. The inhabitants of Vrindavan had sacrificed everything for Krishna, simply being captivated by the lotus eyes of the Lord. Because of their great desire to love Krishna, they never desired anything like elevation to the heavenly planets or merging into the effulgence of Brahman to become one with the absolute truth. They were not even interested in enjoying a life of opulence, but were satisfied in living a simple life in the village as cowards. They were always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and did not desire anything personal benefits, and they were all so much in love with him that in his absence their voices faltered when they began to inquire from Balramji.
First, Nanda Maharaja and Yasoda Mai inquired, "My dear Balarama, are our friends like Vasudeva and others in the family doing well? Now, you and Krishna are grown up, married men with children. In the happiness of family life, Do you sometimes do you sometimes remember your poor father and mother, Nanda Maharaja and Yasoda Devi? It is very good news that the most sinful king, Kamsa, has been killed by you and that our friends like Vasudeva and the others who had been harassed have now been relieved. It is also very good news that you and Krishna defeated Jarasandha and Kalevana, who is now dead, and that you are now living in a fortified residence in Dwaraha.
When the gopis arrived, Lord Balaram glanced over them with loving eyes. Being overjoyed, the gopis who had so long been mortified on account of Krishna's and Balaram's absence began to ask about the welfare of the two brothers. They specifically asked Balaram whether Krishna was enjoying his life surrounded by the enlightened women of Dwarka Puri. Does he sometimes remember his father Nanda and his mother Yashoda and the other friends with whom he so intimately behaved while in Vrindavan? Does Krishna have any plans to come here to see his mother Yashoda? And does he remember us gopis who are now pitiably bereft of his company? Krishna may have forgotten us in the midst of the cultured women of Dwaraka. But as far as we are concerned, we still remember him by collecting flowers and sewing them into garlands. When he does not come, however, we simply pass our time by crying. If only he would come here and accept these garlands we have made. Dear Lord Balaram, descendant of Dasha, you know that we will give up everything for Krishna's friendship. Even the great distress, one cannot give up the connection of family members. But although it might be impossible for others, we gave up our fathers, mothers, sisters, and relatives. But then Krishna, without caring a pinch for our renunciation, all of a sudden renounced us and went away. He broke off our intimate relationship without serious consideration and left for a foreign country. But he was so clever and cunning that he manufactured very nice words. He said, "My dear gopis, please do not worry. The service you have rendered me impossible for me to repay. After all, we are women, so how could we disbelieve him? Now we can't understand that his sweet words were simply for cheating us."
Protesting Krishna's absence from Vrindavan, another gopi said, "My dear Balramji, we are, of course, village girls, so Krishna could cheat us in that way. But what about the women of Dwarka? Don't think they are as foolish as we are. We village women might be misled by Krishna, but the women in the city of Dwarka are very clever and intelligent. Therefore, I would be surprised if such city women could be misled by Krishna and could believe his words." Then another gopi began to speak. "My dear friend," she said, "Krishna is very clever in using words. No one can compete with him in that art. He can manufacture such colorful words and talk so sweetly that the heart of any woman would be misled. Besides that, he has perfected the art of smiling very attractively, and by seeing his smile, women become mad after him and give themselves to him without hesitation."
Another gopi, after hearing this, said, "My dear friends, what is the use of talking about Krishna? If you are at all interested in passing time by talking, let us talk on some subject other than him. If cruel Krishna can pass his time without us, why can't we pass our time without Krishna? Of course, Krishna is passing his days without us very happily, but we cannot pass our days happily without him. When the gopis were talking in this way, their feelings for Krishna became more and more intense, and they were experiencing Krishna's smiling, Krishna's words of love, Krishna's attractive features, Krishna's characteristics, and Krishna's embraces. By the force of their ecstatic feelings, it appeared to them that Krishna was personally present and dancing before them. Because of their sweet remembrance of Krishna, they could not check their tears and they cried without consideration.
Lord Balram, of course, could understand the ecstatic feeling of the gopis and therefore he wanted to pacify them. He was expert in presenting an appeal and thus treating the gopis very respectfully. He began to narrate the stories of Krishna so tactfully that the gopis became satisfied. To keep the gopis in Vrindavan satisfied, Lord Balarama stayed there continuously for 2 months, namely the month of Chaitra, that is March, April, and Vaishak, April, May. For those 2 months, he kept himself among the gopis, and he passed every night with them in the forest of Vrindavan to satisfy their desire for conjugal love. Thus, Balrama also enjoyed the rasa dance with the gopis during those 2 months. Since the season was springtime, the breeze on the bank of the Yamuna was blowing very mildly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, especially the flower known as Kaumudi. Moonlight filled the sky and spread everywhere, and thus the bank of the Yamuna appeared very bright and pleasing, and Lord Balrama enjoyed the company of the gopis there.
The demigod known as Varna sent his daughter Varni in the form of liquid honey oozing from the hollows of the trees. Because of this honey, the whole forest became aromatic, and the sweet aroma of the liquid honey Varuni captivated Balaramji. Balaramji and all the gopis became very much attracted by the taste of the barley, and all of them drank it together. While drinking the natural beverage, all the gopis chanted the glories of Lord Balarama. And Lord Balarama felt very happy, as if he had become intoxicated by drinking that Varuni beverage. His eyes rolled in a pleasing attitude. He was decorated with long garlands of forest flowers, and the whole situation appeared to be a great function of happiness because of this transcendental bliss. Lord Balarama smiled beautifully, and the drops of perspiration decorating his face appeared like soothing morning dew.
While Balaram was in that happy mood, he desired to enjoy the company of the gopis in the water of Yamuna. Therefore, he called the Yamuna to come nearby, but the Yamuna neglected the order of Balaramji, considering him intoxicated. Lord Balaram became very much displeased at the Yamuna's neglecting his orders. He immediately wanted to scratch the land near the river with his plowshare. Lord Balaram has two weapons, a plow and a club, from which he takes service when they are required. This time he wanted to bring the Yamuna by force and he took the help of his plow. He wanted to punish the Yamuna because she did not come in obedience to his order. He addressed the Yamuna. You rash river, you did not care of my order. Now I shall teach you a lesson. You did not come to me voluntarily. Now, with the help of my plow, I shall force you to come. I shall divide you into hundreds of scattered streams.
Still like that.
When the Yamuna was threatened like this, she became greatly afraid. of the power of Balaram and immediately came in person, falling at his lotus feet and praying thus: My dear Balram, you are the most powerful personality and you are pleasing to everyone. Unfortunately, I forgot your glories. I forgot your glorious exalted position, but now I have come to my senses and I remember that you hold all the planetary systems on your head merely by your partial expansion, Shesha. You are the sustainer of the whole universe. My dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are full with six opulences. Because I forgot your omnipotence, I have mistakenly disobeyed your order, and thus I have become a great offender. But my dear Lord, please know that I am a soul surrendered unto you, who are very affectionate to your devotees. Therefore, please excuse my impudence and mistakes, and by your causeless mercy, may you now release me.
Upon displaying this submissive attitude, the Jamuna was forgiven, and when she came nearby, Lord Balaram enjoyed the pleasure of swimming in her waters along with the gopis in the same way that an elephant enjoys himself along with his many she-elephants. After a long time, when Lord Balaram had enjoyed to his full satisfaction, he came out of the water, and immediately a goddess of fortune offered him a nice blue garment and a valuable necklace made of gold. After bathing in the Jamuna, Lord Balaram, dressed in blue garments and decorated with golden ornaments, looked very attractive to everyone. Lord Balaram's complexion is white, and when he was properly dressed, he looked exactly like the white elephant of King Indra in the heavenly planets. The river Jamuna still has many small branches due to being scratched by the plowshare of Lord Balaram. And all these branches of the river Jamuna still glorify the omnipotence of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram and the gopis enjoy transcendental pastimes together every night for 2 months, and time passed so quickly that all those nights appeared to be only one night. In the presence of Lord Balaram, all the gopis and other inhabitants of Vrindavan became as cheerful as they had been before in the presence of both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 65th chapter of Krishna. Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan. Haribo.
Chapter 66. The Deliverance of Pondrak and the King of Kashi. The story of King Pondrak is very interesting because it proves that there have always been many rascals and fools who have considered themselves God. Even in the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, there was such a foolish person. His name was Pondraka, and he wanted to declare himself God. While Lord Balram was absent in Vrindavan, this king Pandaka, the king of Karusha province, being foolish and puffed up, sent a messenger to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is accepted as the supreme personality of Godhead, but King Pandaka directly challenged Krishna through the messenger who stated that Pandraka, not Krishna, was Vasudev. In the present day, there are many foolish followers of such rascals. Similarly, in Pandraka's day, many foolish men accepted Pandraka as the supreme personality of Godhead. Because he could not estimate his own position, Pandraka falsely thought himself to be Lord Vasudev. Thus, the messenger declared to Krishna that King Pandraka, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, had descended to the earth out of his causeless mercy, just to deliver all distressed persons.
Surrounded by many other foolish persons, this rascal Poundraga had actually concluded that he was Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This kind of conclusion is certainly childish. Child, when children are playing, they sometimes select a king amongst themselves, and the selected child may think that he is actually the king. Similarly, many foolish persons, due to ignorance, select another fool as God, and then the rascal actually considers himself God, as if God could be created by childish play or by the words of men. Under this false impression, thinking himself the supreme Lord, Paundraga sent his messenger to Dwarka to challenge the position of Krishna. The messenger reached the royal assembly of Krishna in Dwarka and conveyed the message given by his master Paundraga. The message contained the following statements.
I am the only supreme personality of Godhead, Vasudev. No man can compete with me. I have descended as King Pondarak, taking compassion on the distressed conditioned soul out of my unlimited causeless mercy. You have falsely taken the position of Vasudev without authority, but you should not propagate this false idea. You must give up your position. O descendant of the Yadu dynasty, please give up all the symbols of Vasudev which you have falsely assumed. And after giving up this position, come and surrender unto me. If out of your gross impotence you do not care for my words, then I challenge you to fight. I am inviting you to battle in which the decision will be settled.
When all the members of the royal assembly, including King Agrasen, heard this message sent by Pondrik, they laughed very loudly for a considerable time. After enjoying the loud laughter of all the members of the assembly, Krishna replied to the messenger as follows: O messenger of Pondrak, you may carry my message to your master. You are a foolish rascal. I directly call you a rascal and I refuse to follow your instructions. I shall never give up the symbols of Vasudev, especially my disc. I shall use this disc to kill not only you, but all your followers also. I shall destroy you and your foolish associates. You merely constitute a society of cheaters and the cheated. O foolish king, you will then have to conceal your face in disgrace, and when your head is severed from your body by my disc, it will be surrounded by meat eating birds like vultures, hawks, and eagles. At that time, instead of becoming my shelter, as you have demanded, you will be subject to the mercy of these low born birds. At that time, your body will be thrown to the dogs, who will eat it with great pleasure.
The messenger carried the words of Lord Krishna to his master, Pandraka, who patiently heard all these insults. Without waiting any longer, Lord Sri Krishna immediately started out on his chariot to punish the rascal Pandraka, the king of Kurusha, because at that time he was living with his friend, the king of Kashi. Krishna surrounded the whole city of Kashi. King Pandraka was a great warrior, and as soon as he heard of Krishna's attack, he came out of the city with 2 Akshayini divisions of soldiers. The king of Kashi also came out with 3 Akshayini divisions. When the two kings came before Lord Krishna to oppose him, Krishna saw Pandraka face to face for the first time. Krishna saw that Pandraka had decorated himself with the symbols of the conch shell, dish, lotus, and club. He carried an imitation sangar bowl, and on his chest was a mock insignia of Srivats. His neck was decorated with a false Kastuba jewel, and he wore a flower garland in exact imitation of Lord Vasudev's. He was dressed in yellow silken garments, and the flag on his chariot carried the symbol of Garuda, exactly imitating Krishna's. He had a very valuable helmet on his head, and his earrings, like swordfish, glittered brilliantly. On the whole, however, his dress and makeup were clearly imitation. Anyone could understand that he was just like someone on stage playing the part of Vasudeva in false dress. When Lord Sri Krishna saw Pandraka imitating his posture and dress, he could not check his laughter, and thus he laughed with great satisfaction.
The soldiers on the side of King Pandraka began to shower their weapons upon Krishna. The weapons, including various kinds of tridents, clubs, poles, lances, swords, daggers, and arrows, came flying in waves, and Krishna counteracted them. He smashed not only the weapons but also the soldiers and the assistants of Pandraka. Just as during the dissolution of this universe, the fire of devastation burns everything to ashes, the elephants, chariots, horses, and infantry belonging to the opposite party were scattered by the weapons of Krishna. Indeed, the whole battlefield became strewn with smashed chariots and the bodies of men and animals. They were fallen horses, elephants, men, asses, and camels. Although the devastated battlefield appeared like the dancing place of Lord Shiva at the time of the dissolution of the world, the warriors on the side of Krishna were very much encouraged by seeing this, and they fought with greater strength.
At this time, Lord Krishna told Poundraga, you are requested me to give up the symbols of Lord Vishnu, eh, specifically my disc. Now I will give it up to you. Be careful, you falsely declare yourself Vasudeva, imitating me. Therefore, no one is a greater fool than you. From the statement of Krishna's, it is clear that any rascal who advertises himself as God is the greatest fool in human society. Krishna continued, now, Poundraga, I shall force you to give up this false representation. You wanted me to surrender unto you. Now, this is your opportunity. We shall now fight. And if I am defeated and you are victorious, I shall certainly surrender unto you. In this way, after chastising Paundraga very severely, Krishna smashed Paundraga's chariot to pieces by shooting an arrow. Then, with the help of his disc, he separated Paundraga's head from his body, just as Indra shaves off the peaks of mountains by striking them with his thunderbolt. Similarly, Krishna also killed the king of Kasi with his arrows. Lord Krishna specifically arranged to throw the head of the king of Kasi into city of Kasi itself so that his relatives and family members could see it. Krishna did this just as a hurricane carries a lotus petal here and there. Lord Krishna killed Paundraga and his friend Kasiraja on the battlefield, and then he returned to his capital city Dwaraka.
When Lord Krishna returned to the city of Dwaraka, all the Siddhas from the heavenly planets were singing his glories. As far as Pandarak was concerned, somehow or other he always thought of Lord Basudeva by falsely dressing himself in imitation of the Lord. Therefore, Pandarak achieved a sarupya, one of the five kinds of liberation, and was thus promoted to the Vaikuntha planets where the devotees have the same bodily features as Vishnu, with four hands holding the four symbols. Factually, his meditation was concentrated on the Vishnu form. But because he thought himself Lord Vishnu, it was offensive. But his being killed by Krishna, however, that offense was mitigated. Thus, he was given Sarafya liberation, and he attained the same param as the Lord.
When the head of the king of Kashi was thrown through the city gate, people gathered and were astonished to see that wonderful thing. When they found out that there were earrings on it, they could understand that it was someone's head. They conjectured as to whose head it might be. Some thought it was Krishna's head because Krishna was the enemy of Kashiraj, and they calculated that the king of Kashi might have thrown Krishna's head into the city so that the people might take pleasure in the enemies having been killed. But they finally detected that the head was not Krishna's, but that of Kashiraj himself. When this was ascertained, the queens of the king of Kashi immediately approached and began to lament the death of their husband. Our dear Lord, they cried, upon your death we have become just like dead bodies.
The king of Kashi had a son whose name was Sudakshina. After observing the ritualistic funeral ceremonies, he took a vow that since Krishna was the enemy of his father, he would kill Krishna and in this way liquidate his debt to his father. Therefore, accompanied by a learned priest qualified to help him, he began to worship Mahadev, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, who is also known as Vishwanath, the Lord of the Kingdom of Kashi. The temple of Lord Vishwanath is still existing in Varanasi, and many thousands of pilgrims still gather daily in that temple. By the worship of Sudakshina, Lord Shiva was very much pleased, and he wanted to give a benediction to his devotees. Sudakshina's purpose was to kill Krishna, and therefore he prayed for a specific power by which to kill him. Lord Shiva advised that Sudakshina, assisted by the Brahmanas, execute the ritualistic ceremony for killing one's enemy. This ceremony is also mentioned in some of the tantras. Lord Shiva informed Sudakshina that if such a black ritualistic ceremony were performed properly, then the evil spirit named Dakshinagri, the light, can we turn the light? Would appear and then carry out any order given to him. He would have to be employed, however, to kill someone other than a qualified Brahmana. If all these conditions were met, then Dakshinagi, accompanied by Lord Shiva's ghostly companions, would fulfill the desire of Sudakshina to kill his enemy.
When Sudakshina was encouraged by Lord Shiva in that way, he was sure that he would be able to kill Krishna. With a determined vow of austerity, he began to execute the black art of chanting mantras, assisted by the priest. After this, out of the fire came a great demonic form, whose hair, beard, and mustache were exactly the color of hot copper. This form was very big and fierce. As the demon arose from the fire, cinders of the emanated forms, the sockets of his eyes. The giant fiery demon appeared still more fierce due to the movement of his eyebrows. He exhibited long, sharp teeth and sticking out his long tongue, licked his upper and lower lips. He was naked and he carried a big trident blazing like fire. After appearing from the fire of sacrifice, he stood wielding the trident in his hand. Instigated by Sudakshina, the demon proceeded towards the capital city Dwarka with many hundreds of costly companions, and it appeared that he was going to burn all outer space to ashes. The surface of the earth trembled because of his striking steps. When he entered the city of Dwarka, all the residents panicked, just like the animals in a forest fire.
At that time, Krishna was playing chess in the Royal Assembly Council Hall. All the residents of Dwaraka approached and addressed him. Dear Lord of the three worlds, a great fiery demon is ready to burn the whole city of Dwaraka. Please save us. In this way, all the inhabitants of Dwaraka appealed to Lord Krishna for protection from the fiery demon, who had just appeared in Dwaraka to devastate the whole city. Lord Krishna, who specifically protects his devotees, saw that the whole population of Dwaraka was most perturbed by the presence of the great fiery demon. He immediately smiled and assured them, Don't worry, I shall give you all protection. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is all pervading. He is within everyone's heart, and He is also without in the form of the cosmic manifestation. He could understand that the fiery demon was a creation of Lord Shiva, and in order to vanquish the demon, he took his Sudarsana Chakra and ordered him to take the necessary steps. The Sudarsana Chakra appeared with the effulgence of millions of suns, his heat being as powerful as the fire created at the end of the cosmic manifestation. By his effulgence, the Sudarsana Chakra illuminated the entire universe on the surface of the earth as well as in other space. Then the Sudarsana Chakra began to freeze the fiery demon created by Lord Shiva. In this way, the fiery demon was checked by the Sudarsana Chakra of Lord Krishna, and being defeated in his attempt to devastation the city of Dwaraka, he turned back.
Having failed to set fire to Dwaraka, the fire demon went back to Varanasi, the kingdom of Kasiraj. As a result of his return, all the priests who had helped instruct the black art of mantras, along with their employer, Sudakshina, were burned to ashes by the glaring effulgence of the fiery demon. According to the methods of black art mantras instructed in the tantras, if the mantra fails to kill the enemy, then because it must kill someone, it kills the original creator. So Dakshina was the originator and the priest assisted him. Therefore, all of them were burned to ashes. This is the way of the demons. The demons create something to kill God, but by the same weapon, the demons themselves are killed.
Following just behind the fiery demon, the Sudarshana Chakra also entered Varanasi. This city had been very opulent and great for a very long time. Even now, the city of Varanasi is opulent and famous, and it is one of the important cities of India. There were then many big palaces, assembly houses, marketplaces, and gates with large and very important monuments by the palaces and gates. Lecturing platforms could be found at each and every crossroads. There were buildings that housed the treasury, elephants, horses, chariots, and grain, and places for distribution of food. The city of Varanasi had been filled with all these material opulences for a very long time, but because the king of Kashi and his son Sudakshina were against Lord Krishna, the Vishnu Chakra Sudarshana, the disc weapon of Lord Krishna, devastated the whole city by burning all these important places. This excursion was more ravaging than modern bombing. The Sudarshana Chakra, having thus finished his duty, came back to his lord Sri Krishna at Dwarka. This narration of the devastation of Varanasi by Krishna's disc weapon, the Sudarshana Chakra, is transcendental and auspicious. Anyone who narrates or hears this story with faith and attention will be released from all reaction to sinful activities. This is the assurance of Shukadev Goswami, who narrated this story to Parikshit Maharaj. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 66th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Pondraka and the king of Kashi. Hari Bo!
Chapter 67, The Deliverance of Davida Gorilla. While Shukadeva Goswami continued to speak on the transcendental pastimes and characteristics of Lord Krishna, King Parikshit, upon hearing him, became more and more enthusiastic and wanted to hear further. Shukadeva Goswami next narrated the story of Davida, the gorilla who was killed by Lord Balaram. This gorilla was a great friend of Bhaumasura, or Narakasura, who was killed by Krishna in connection with his kidnapping 16,000 princesses from all over the world. Davida was the minister of King Sugriva. His brother Minda was also a very powerful gorilla king. When Davida Gorilla heard the story of his friend Bhamasura being killed by Lord Krishna, he planned to create mischief throughout the country in order to avenge the death of Bhamasura. His first business was to set fires in villages, towns, and industrial and mining places, as well as in the residential quarters of the mercantile men who were busy dairy farming and protecting cows. Sometimes he would uproot a big mountain and tear it to pieces. In this way, he created great disturbances all over the country, especially in the province of Katwar. The city of Dwarka was situated in the Katwar province, and because Lord Krishna used to live in this city, Davida specifically made it his target of disturbance.
Druida was as powerful as 10,000 elephants. Sometimes he would go to the seashore and with his powerful hands he would create so much disturbance in the sea that he would flood the neighboring cities and villages. Often he would go to the hermitage of great saintly persons and sages and cause a great disturbance by smashing their beautiful gardens and orchards. Not only did he create disturbance in that way, but sometimes he would pass urine and stool on the sacred sacrificial arenas. He would thus pollute the whole atmosphere. He also kidnapped both men and women, taking them away from their residential places to the caves of the mountains. After putting them within the caves, he would close the entrance and with large chunks of stones, like the bringe insects, which arrest and carries away many flies and other insects and puts them within the holes of the trees where it lives. Thus, Tveda regularly defied the laws and order of the country. Not only that, but he would sometimes pollute the female members of many aristocratic families by forcibly raping them.
While creating such great disturbances all over the country, sometimes he heard very sweet musical sounds from Ravataka mountain. And so he entered that mountainous region. There he saw Lord Balarama in the midst of many beautiful young girls, enjoying their company while singing and dancing. Prabhupada became captivated by the beauty of Lord Balarama's body, whose every feature was very beautiful, decorated as he was with a garland of lotus flowers. Similarly, all the young girls present, dressed and garlanded with flowers, exhibited much beauty. Lord Balarama seemed fully intoxicated from drinking the Baruni beverage, and his eyes appeared to be rolling in a drunken state. Lord Balarama appeared just like the king of the elephants in the midst of many she elephants.
This gorilla by the name David could climb up into the trees and jump from one branch to another. Sometimes he would jerk the branches, creating a particular type of sound, killa killa, so that Lord Balaram was greatly distracted from the pleasing atmosphere. Sometimes David would come before the women and exhibited different types of caricatures. By nature, young women are apt to enjoy everything with laughter and joking. And when the gorilla came before them, they did not take him seriously but simply laughed at him. However, the gorilla was so wrought that even in the presence of Balaram, he began to show the lower parts of his body to the woman. And sometimes he would come forward to show his teeth while moving his eyebrows. He disrespected the woman, even the presence of Balaram. Lord Balaram's name suggests not only that he is very powerful, but that he takes pleasure in exhibiting extraordinary strength. So he took a stone and threw it at Divida. The gorilla, however, artfully avoided being struck by the stone. In order to insult Balaram, the gorilla took away the earthen pot in which the barani was kept. Devida, being thus intoxicated with his limited strength, began to tear up all the valuable clothes worn by Balaram and the accompanying young girls. He was so puffed up that he thought Balaram could not do anything to chastise him, and they continued to offend Balaramji and his companions.
When Lord Balram saw the disturbances created by the gorilla and heard that he had already performed many mischievous activities all over the country, he became very angry and decided to kill him. Immediately he took his club in his hands. The gorilla could understand that now Balram was going to attack him. To counteract Balram, he immediately uprooted a big oak tree and with great force he came and struck Lord Balram's head. Lord Balram, however, immediately caught hold of the big tree and remained undisturbed, just like a great mountain. To retaliate, he took his club named Sunanda and hit the gorilla with it, se- severely injured his head. Currents of blood flowed from the gorilla's head with great force. but the stream of blood simply enhanced his beauty, like a stream of liquid manganese coming out of a great mountain. The striking of Balram's club did not even slightly disturb him. On the contrary, he immediately uprooted another big oak tree and, after clipping off its leaves, again struck Balram's head with it. But Balram, with the help of his club, tore the tree to pieces. Since the gorilla was very angry, he took another tree in his hands and struck Lord Balram's body. Again, Lord Balram tore the tree to pieces, and the fighting continued. Each time, the gorilla would bring out a big tree to strike Balram. Lord Balram would tear the tree to pieces by the striking of his club, and the gorilla Dvivid could clutch another tree from another direction and again attack Balram in the same way. As a result of this continuous fighting, the forest became treeless. When no more trees were available, Dvivida took help from the hills and threw large pieces of stone like rainfall upon the body of Balram. Lord Balram, in a great sporting mood, began to smash those big pieces of stone into mere pebbles. The gorilla became bereft of all trees and stone slabs, now stood before Balram and waved his strong fists. Then, with great force, he began to beat Lord Balram's chest with his fists. This time, Lord Balram became most angry. Since the gorilla was striking him with his hands, Lord Balram would not strike him back with his own weapons, the club or the plough. Simply with his fists, he struck the collarbone of the gorilla. This blow proved fatal to Dvivida, who immediately vomited blood and fell unconscious upon the ground. When the gorilla fell, all the hills and forests appeared to totter.
After this horrible incident, all the siddhas, great sages and saintly persons from the upper planetary system, showered flowers on the person of Lord Balaram and vibrated sounds glorifying his supremacy. All of them chanted, "All glories to Lord Balaram. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. By killing this great demon Davida, you have initiated an auspicious era for the world." All such jubilant sounds of victory were heard from outer space. After killing the great demon Davida and being worshipped by showers of flowers and glorious sounds of victory, Balaram returned to his capital city, Dwarka. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 67th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Davida Gorilla.
Chapter 68. The Marriage of Samba. Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, had a marriageable daughter by the name of Lakshmana. She was a very highly qualified girl of the Kuru dynasty, and many princes wanted to marry her. In such cases, the Swayamvara ceremony is held so that the girl may select her husband according to her own choice. In Lakshmana's Swayamvar assembly, when the girl was to select a husband, Samba appeared. He was a son of Krishna's by Jambavati, one of the Lord Krishna's chief wives. This son, Samba, was so named because he was a pet child and always lived close to his mother. The name Samba indicates a son who is very much his mother's pet. Amba means mother and Sa means with. So his special name was given to him because he always remained with his mother. He was also known as Jambavati Sutta for the same reason. As previously explained, all the sons of Krishna were as qualified as their great father. Samba wanted Duryodhana's daughter Lakshmana, although she was not inclined to have him. Therefore, Samba kidnapped Lakshmana by force from the Swayamvara assembly.
Because Samba took Lakshmana away from the assembly by force, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Vidura, and Arjuna, thought it an insult to their family tradition that the boy Samba could possibly have kidnapped their daughter. All of them knew that Lakshmana was not at all inclined to select him as her husband, and that she was not given the chance to select her own husband. Instead, she was forcefully taken away by this boy. Therefore, they decided that he must be punished. They unanimously declared that he was most imprudent and had degraded the Kuru's family tradition. Therefore, all of them, under the counsel of the elder members of the Guru dynasty, Guru family, decided to arrest the boy but not kill him. They concluded that the girl could not be married to any boy other than Samba, since she had already been touched by him. According to the Vedic system, once being touched by some boy, a girl cannot be married or given to any other boy. Nor would anyone agree to marry a girl who had already thus associated with another boy. The elder members of the family, such as Bhishma, wanted to arrest him. Thus, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, especially the great fighters, joined together just to teach him a lesson. And Krishna was made the commander in chief for this small battle.
While making the plan to arrest Samba, the Kurus counseled amongst themselves that upon his arrest, the members of Yadu dynasty will be very angry with them. There was every possibility of the Yadus accepting the challenge and fighting with them. But they also thought if they came here to fight with us, what could they do? The members of the Yadu dynasty cannot equal the members of the Kuru dynasty because the kings of the Kuru dynasty are the emperors, where are the kings of Yadu dynasty are able to enjoy their land only because we have granted it to them. The Kurus thought if they come back here to challenge us because their sons was arrested, we shall accept the fight and teach them a lesson, so that automatically they will be subdued under pressure, as the senses are subdued by the mystic yoga process of pranayam. Pranayam. In the mechanical system of mystic yoga, the airs within the body are controlled and the senses are subdued and checked from being engaged in anything other than meditation upon Lord Vishnu.
After consultation and after receiving permission from the elder members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Bhishma and Dhritarashtra, five great warriors, Karna, Shala, Bhuri, Yagnaketu, and Duryodhana, the father of the girl, who were all Maharathis and who were guided by the great fighter Bhishma Dev, attempted to arrest the boy Samba. There are different grades of fighters, including Maharathi, Ekarathi, and Rathi, classified according to their fighting ability. These Maharathis could fight alone with many thousands of men. All of them combined together to arrest Samba. Samba was also a Maharathi, but he was alone and had to fight with the six other Maharathis. Still, he was not deterred when he saw all the great fighters of the Kuru dynasty coming up behind him to arrest him.
Alone, he turned toward them and took his nice bow, posing exactly as a lion stands adamant in the face of other animals. Karna, leading the party, challenged Samba Why are you fleeing? Just stand and we shall teach you a lesson. When challenged by another Kshatriya to stand and fight, a Kshatriya cannot run away. He must fight. Therefore, Samba accepted the challenge and stood alone before them. But as soon as he did, so he was overpowered by showers of arrows shot by all the great warriors. A lion is never afraid of being chased by many wolves and jackals. Similarly, Samba, the glorious son of the Yadu dynasty, endowed with inconceivable potencies as the son of Lord Krishna, became very angry at the warriors of the Kuru dynasty for improperly using arrows against him. He fought them with great talent. First of all, he struck each of the 6 charioteers with 6 separate arrows. He used another 4 arrows to kill the charioteers' horses, 4 on each chariot. Then he used 1 arrow to kill the driver and 1 arrow for Karna, as well as the other celebrated fighters.
While Samba so diligently fought alone with the 6 great warriors, they all appreciated the boy's inconceivable potency. Even in the midst of the fighting, they admitted frankly that this boy Samba was wonderful. But the fighting was conducted in the Kshatriya spirit. So altogether, although it was improper, they obliged Samba to get down from his chariot, now broken to pieces. Of the 6 warriors, 4 took care to kill Samba's 4 horses, and 1 struck down his chariot driver, and 1 managed to cut the string of the Samba's bow so that he could no longer fight with them. In this way, with great difficulty and after a severe fight, they deprived Samba of his chariot and were able to arrest him. Thus, the warriors of the Kuru dynasty accepted their great victory and took their daughter Lakshmana away from him. Thereafter, they entered the city of Hastinapura in great triumph.
Oh, so my dear devotees, that concludes our 1 hour of reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. We'll continue next Sunday with the marriage of Samba. So as we always do, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Namo Om Vishnuvedaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskachadi Shatarane, and to each other Panchakalpadrubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Krishna Book, Jai Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.